Excellent.
Life is settling down.
Resuming back to somewhat usual-ish?
Yeah, just total chaos. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is there any such thing as normal?
No.
Sure, chaos is normal.
Oh, okay.
It's true. I was going to say it's pretty subjective.
So chaos is the new normal.
Certainly politically.
Oh, wow. Okay, so Solar's back on the boys' roof.
And spiritually sometimes too.
Agree. Shane.
Big thank you that we got the boat up to Scappoose and nobody died and a couple close calls, but hey, it was all good. Now we're in a lot cheaper place to do things, and it's in the water and it's floating. So yeah, so very, very happy.
Not leaking.
Well, we went through the whole boat and there are no leaks.
Whoa! So when are we going to sail to Hawaii?
Whenever, actually. We got to make money this summer, then we'll go to Hawaii maybe.
Okay. No way.
So it's in Scappoose now.
It is in
In
Scappoose,
Scappoose.
at a nice place.
Isn't that a great name to say?
It is. It's really fun. Scappoose.
I wonder what it means.
It's like baboons.
It feels like a baby leaving quickly.
Oh, wow.
Well, because it's papoose, right? So scappoose. Oh,
Scappoose.
I can't find him.
Like
He's gone.
skedaddle. Scappoose.
Yeah.
Eat papoose, scappoose. The papoose, scappoose.
Anyway, so I'm very happy.
That's very exciting. What else you got? Kevin, you ready? I'm going to wait.
Pretty excited. Got a friend of mine who donated a ticket to send somebody to the trip with me, and come to find out they can go. So that's going to be pretty exciting to help them get there and explore something different. It looks like we're about, I think, anywhere from 10 to 15 people who are coming.
Wow.
Oh, so you're not going alone on this?
I go by myself, but people that show up along the way. God bless the IRS. Haven't heard anything from my attorney, and now that they're firing 6,000 IRS agents, I don't know if it'll be indefinite or if it'll get, I don't know what's going to happen. Pray for me. I've got a men's retreat that I'm going with Shane on this coming Tuesday, and I'm gone for a week.
Where are you going?
It's a little place called Priest Lake, Idaho.
You've been there a few times.
Yeah, it's in the cold and winter, and we drink beverages of choice and talk about Jesus.
Love it.
Amen.
And let's see, pray for my boys who had both got some kind of disappointing news this week, and I just super excited for them to learn resilience and recovery, and how just getting said no is not a suffering, but an opportunity to double down and dig deeper and all that kind of stuff. It's easier to say that when you're nearing the end of your life than you are at the beginning. So I get that. Yeah. Anyways, that's my stuff.
At least this part of it.
Oh, and selling. We'd like our house to sell. It's not ready to go on the market soon, and we'd like to get our house to sell. Every time you're here, I'm happy.
Isn't his beard great? I'm like really stoked about the beard. It's even better when his hood's up. Just like.
It reminds me of what Abe Lincoln would look like if he had gotten old. It's kind of that good, long way, you know. I like Abe Lincoln, so, you know.
Gary.
Well, a little bit of a happy praise for me is that Dan and I kind of reconnected.
Woo! That's awesome.
And we were going to play before Christmas, and the night before I had my kidney stones, so it didn't happen. But that's a whole other story and a very interesting thought parallel there. But he was back out in Escacada last Sabbath, and so he and I gave the music, the Escacada Church, and I had sent him the pictures of those things beforehand, and he and Lisa were doing some special music. And Lisa went out and got her tablet, and she actually accompanied us. We had a great time. And everybody from the ISB was there. So who knows if we do it again? You know, even Bert. I hadn't seen Bert for quite a while, but Bert was looking good and doing fine. His Father Christmas beard is now trimmed much shorter, but he still looks great. Seems to be doing fine, but everybody seems to be doing okay. So anyway, I had a great time playing. We did the love set, you and I did. I threw a couple more in there, and the Escaped Church was a pretty good feeling, and they seemed to enjoy it.
Awesome.
So does he preach there once a month?
Every 7 weeks.
Every 7 weeks.
He has 7 churches, and each one of them want him for the whole day, and so he just rotates through every 7 weeks. So three weeks out of the 7, he has to drive to the North Oregon coast, 3 different churches, and then back to Portland. But he's doing okay. He had a great sermon on Romans, and that was good. It was a good bunch of congregation there, and they worshiped the Lord. It was fun just to get back and sing and play.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you, Terry.
Yeah, I'm happy.
It was awesome.
Arnold.
I got 5,000 miles on my scooter.
All right.
Oh, scooter. Wow.
That's rocking. Hey, when's the next oil change?
That's exciting.
Praise the Lord that it's still
It's
working.
going. Yeah. Yep. Steven.
I got to go to a Blazers game.
You sure did. Who'd they play, Steven? Who'd they play?
They played the Lakers.
Yeah, not just any old Blazers game. You got to see LeBron in action.
No Luka.
I don't really know anything, but I know big names like that, and I can throw them out in one-liners. Full disclaimer, I don't care.
I like Luka.
I'm glad. And who took you?
Carl.
Who's Carl?
Uncle Carl.
Uncle Carl. Steven got spoiled by Uncle Carl. Because he didn't just get to go see the Blazers and the Lakers play. What did you come home with, son?
A puppy.
So he didn't just go. He got to eat multiple pieces of pizza at the Moda Center, which I hear is a small investment.
And it's expensive.
And a whole lot of cotton candy, and the remnants came home. You had a good time, didn't you? Yeah.
Did you get an autograph from LeBron too?
No, we were at second level, so there's no point in walking all the way down.
Yeah, no point in that.
Sounds like Uncle Carl did a good job.
Sure did. Yeah, so he was here this past week, so that was really fun. Except for when I had to take him to the airport at 3:30 in the morning on Friday.
That must have been fun. Hey, no traffic.
True. It was dark and no one else, well, surprising how many people are out at that time of day. But yeah, it was great. Hey, Logan, what happened for you this week? Where is Logan?
He's over there playing.
Okay. Do you want me to tell them what happened?
Did he have a birthday?
He's showing us.
Oh, he's showing.
Tooth?
Yep, tooth number 2 came out. Yep.
Hey, it's too early in the year. It's supposed to be a Christmas time, so you can sing that song.
I know.
Like two front teeth.
Well, we still have the hope for the top 2, but I feel like they might not last that long. I texted Dan Myers this morning, and he's doing well. He worked 25 hours this past week. Yep, and he got a new CPAP, which has been life-changing for him. So he's doing well. He says hi. They're going to try and come in the next couple weeks. I texted Milo about Patty. Do any of you know Patty? I don't know Patty. No, I don't have her last name handy. Not Patty McCoy, not Patty Green. But she broke, if I'm understanding, she broke her kneecap.
She had a knee replacement or knee surgery a while back. I think failed or had some additional injury.
Yeah, so she's at the Village now and still recovering, so we'll keep praying for her. Mine and Chris's sister-in-law, her aunt she's had a tumultuous journey with cancer, but has 2 active types of cancer right now. She just had pathology back that it's stage 4 metastatic breast cancer in her liver. And they've kind of had to pause that because I wrote it down because I would never remember this, Hurthal cell carcinoma. in her thyroid, which is really aggressive and very rare. So they live up in Port Hardy, which is the northern part of Vancouver Island, but they went down to Florida, where like the surgeon for that, because it's one, like you've got to go in and get it all. Like that's your one chance. So that happened this past week, and I haven't heard that. So just praying for their family, because, yeah, and they've got 2 boys, 2 teenagers. So just praying for them. Her name's Denise.
My friend Lyndon Dieter has some kind of bizarre cancer. He's going over to Seattle for 2 months to do a stem cell thing, and he's looking at 6 months of life recovery and hoping to handle it. You know.
Lyndon.
Yeah.
Lyndon.
Yeah. Fantastic guy.
David.
So Anna is doing her first show today for her drum stuff.
That's exciting.
She's a drummer?
Yeah. She does drumline.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Good for her.
That's so rad. And that's today?
Yeah. So this afternoon I'll be heading to South Albany.
Awesome.
Is it like before a sports game, or is it just a standalone?
No,
sport?
it's a competition.
Oh, it's
Damn.
Yeah, all the schools together. Next one's going to be in a month up in Albany. I mean, up in Olympia.
Cool.
So.
Very cool. Anything else? Terry.
Update on Murray.
Oh, yeah. How's he doing?
He's gone stir crazy enough
I'm sure.
that he actually can now, he's getting around more, and he finally said, had Janessa take him down to one of the disc golf courses, and on his knee roller, he was able to play a little bit, and so he decided he could do it, and so he takes their car, which is an automatic, so he doesn't have to use his foot. And twice he's gone down to the disc golf course.
The park.
The park. He can't play as well as he'd like, but
But he's playing.
he's playing.
Hey, Ashley.
So he
Oh,
still
that's
sits
hilarious.
at home, but at least now he's getting around, and he's independent like he always has been, and drives his wife crazy.
Well, what is it? Didn't he?
January surgery, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so he's not weight bearing. So he's like halfway-ish. That's pretty good to make it halfway before he did some antics. Oof. Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's understandable.
He's easy to get along with, so that's what I care.
Don't touch his. Yeah, don't touch his foot. I don't know if this is. I feel like this is a praise, but for me, it's yes. Was that?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, okay. I'll finish mine. I feel like for me, sitting in discomfort is something I'm trying to get okay with, and I actually put it in a praise because. Oh, I need to go back and listen to it. But like sitting with people, in part of my job at work, well, kind of both parts of my job. Anyway, I sit with a lot of people, wrangling a lot of hard, and that's a heavy thing to. It can and is sometimes heavy to carry that. And I think we all, like, there's a lot, Kevin hinted at it earlier, of the chaos of what's happening in this country right now. And the combination of the work I do and that potentially every element of it is impacted by changes happening right now is discomfort's probably a gentle way to describe it. And knowing that it's unknown and trying not to get ahead of the unknown, but sitting in it. So yeah, so you all know, I wasn't here last week, and part of that was just like, oh, there's so much to do and think about. But you know, I got my snow Arnold. It was great. But I think it's something, I mean, it's obviously something we have to do, but figuring out how to do it gracefully and being a good human throughout it and finding the joy in life intentionally sometimes. Sometimes you have to really look for it when things feel really heavy and hard. So, I don't know. That's my rambly thanks / request all at the same time.
It sounds like Canada's going through some tough times now as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not just with Trudeau standing up against Trump, but also Trudeau within his own culture is.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they're having some shifts up there as well. And, you know, tension between these two countries is an interesting.
I don't like that part.
I don't like it either.
Because I have really good friends that are Canadians. I mean, not just you, but you too. But and
Yeah.
you know, there was an interesting in the Seattle Times, interesting article that I wrote about saying sorry to Canada and the responses he got. 800 of them. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so if you get a chance to read that, but I'm with you. The whole discomfort is a challenge.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, yeah.
There was a thing on Facebook that made me love Canada so much more. There was a woman with a suitcase and a child heading towards the Canadian border, right? Like she was going to cross illegally, and the MPs were sitting there waiting for her, and they told her, they said, you know, you need to go to a border crossing, otherwise we're going to arrest you. And she goes, yeah, I know. And they actually helped her carry her child and her suitcase over the border, arrested her, took her to the processing, and started proceeding to make her a citizen. And I just thought, how lovely a process. Yeah. Anyway.
Hi, you.
The problem and the issue is that we are all connected, interconnected.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yep. And I mean, focusing on humans is, yeah.
Being what I am, it's really difficult sometimes. And right now I feel like I can't breathe. I feel like the universe is on my shoulders. I took on and I have a lot of responsibility, but I also need to remember from he who much is given, much is expected. And I don't know how much more of this I can carry. You know, so it's like I shared with Ben, it's either him giving me all of this to rely on him more, or it's me learning how to prioritize and let go, or it's me not thinking anymore that I've got 8,000 things on my list and I can get it all done in one day. Everything that I'm noticing those days falls on finances, people, money, power and control, you know, policy, procedure, this, that, the other. And everything has become so political that it's not even simple anymore. You know? And I need her to find a way to take a vacation from myself somewhere far away for a couple of days just to re-energize. You know, my ideal vacation is having someone around the campfire, eating some food, enjoying a drink, you know, not getting into it, and just enjoying the silence and the comfort of each other's energy. Looking at the stars, dude, shut up, enjoy the fire, have a book in a smile, shake my hand, just look at the stars and listen to the wind.
Just be.
Those golden moments are very, very.
They are. A lot of noise. Okay, Shane, and we'll come back to you, Ben.
Just a phrase on that, the stars Thursday night from the river. I mean, Orion and the Milky Way, it was so beautiful. I hadn't seen, I love crossing oceans because it's so dark and easy, but it was just stunningly beautiful. So the universe
Even your
is still
pictures.
there, everybody. Just
Your
wanna let
your
you know.
cell phone pictures were great.
I know, I couldn't believe how well, but just the, you know, and then to watch the progression of Orion and just spectacular. So just a praise that it is a wondrous place we still live in. So.
Wow. I just, we've been dealing with the strike thing for a while now, and there's a new batch of tentative agreements out. It's like all good compromises, everybody's gonna be disappointed, and it's pretty disappointing. But I feel like it'd be interesting to see, just a lot of prayer, because I feel like it's a pretty big schism in our community. Both the people impacted by the strike, but the 5,000 or so caregivers that are needing to navigate going back to work. So really just prayer for like consensus and unity. It's gonna be, I feel like, a nail biter. It doesn't feel good.
No. When are there votes coming, or have votes already happened on TA?
Starting today.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard.
This isn't the first time, right?
No.
We've already had.
Yeah.
We've already had.
The biggest thing we need to run is that because of what I do in the community, I mean, there's a lot of tiny homes, there's a lot of these so-called homeless camps coming up. The problem is that the people who put them on their property get paid from the federal government, and it's a company from California. The sad part is that they're low barrier, so they have the resources available, it's up to you to get them. And it's difficult because these guys are still able to eat and drink, but they get free housing on the taxpayers. And it's, you know, there needs to be a change of not being so sensitive towards that and saying, hey, here's the deal, man. You know? So I don't know where to go with that, but I mean, it's like Brady Lee, they're speaking in this attitude. You know? And I mean, I've been at the house that I managed for 3 years, and I've probably seen over 100 guys coming in and out, rotate through the doors because of it. You know, and it sets a precedent. And I've seen how I'm on the bus and I carry a bag, and I've been treated like I'm some derelict homeless person coming out of the bushes by people. You know, because it sets that misnomer, right? So we just need some power of living that live and, you know, accept others for where they're at, who they are with it. And I'm not putting them on a pedestal, but Don and Linda have known me for 3 years. And I've given them a lot of stuff, but Linda told me, you know, Linda let me know she's seen a lot of things with me. So, you know, it's that community, it's that family. So I appreciate this here. It's generic, it's Republican. And you guys accept it, really are where they're at, what they're about. And you let them play with the cute kids. Give them my kids back.
Who's trying to steal your house keys? You know. Linda.
It's a prayer for my foster son Steve. He's been texting me feeling they think he has Parkinson's, and the doctors even giving him med for it. They want to do all these testings because his insurance will pay for it. And they gave him one drug. and it's not doing any good. And it's delaying treatment.
Okay.
I just texted him to call his attorney.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at some point,
I mean, it's that, it's there.
you're up against a huge system that,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
It's just ridiculous. If I knew where to get it, I'd go get it myself.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I actually have a friend who has it. I could just go borrow some.
Oh, goodness. Any word on his daughter?
No. I've not heard anything, and I don't know, I don't think either one of us have done much searching lately, but I don't know.
Scary.
A request for a major prayer for the metropolitan area. And that is that at the end of March, the contracts that United Healthcare has for all their Medicare patients in the metro area is going to expire. They do not have contracts with Providence. The ones with OHSU, Adventist, and all their associated ones will expire at the end of March. And because OHSU is now merged, his legacy is going to OHSU, how that will impact. It could well be that a couple 100,000 Medicare patients in the metropolitan area the 1st of April will be without any medical insurance. So this is going to be a major medical impact on this metropolitan area. Now there's supposedly negotiations, but where that's going to go. And I know that at Adventist they are already gearing up the doctors with their patients, trying to come up with alternatives and ideas for how they can continue to provide medical care. And I'm sure OHSU is doing the same thing. But it's going to be a real interesting issue coming up here in a month. What's going to happen to literally a major portion of the metropolitan people when it comes to healthcare?
Can I speak on that?
Sure.
So, a month or so ago, I have United Healthcare. I talked to my sales rep, and she said that every so many years, OHSU and United Healthcare will go through these contract negotiations. They are, like you said, hoping to settle this, but the problem is that those of us who have been there a while have these doctors all lined up. And yes, Legacy Health, somehow connected with OHSU, they're making a lot of changeovers, coupled with everything that Biden did and what Trump is trying to do now with Elon Musk. So, it's even a lot of us in the dark and trying to get an appointment right now. Forget it. And the sad part is with PPO plans, right, whoever, they won't cover. So, it's a nightmare. And we're praying and hoping that they will come up with a soluble solution for all, because if not, we're just using reset. They're going to lose a lot of people.
Well, yeah,
Which then will over-inundate Providence. And the sad part is that places like Providence and Kaiser don't take Humana, they don't take Cross Blue Shield, they don't
take United Healthcare. They don't take these. So that leaves, and the thing is, from the Medicare viewpoint, the Oregon contingencies for like United Healthcare is a small potato considered nationwide. And so they want to do it, but yet they don't feel an impetus because it's not going to affect them to the degree that on the individual level it's going to affect everybody else, especially in the Portland metro area when we basically have no options.
They're saying it's not going to be sent to United Healthcare.
Don.
Well, you figure 2 weeks ago was when we started hearing about some of this stuff. We got that important because that just makes us 2 weeks closer to Christ coming. We don't have to worry about it anymore.
I think I'm going to take this moment to wrap this up and say prayer.
I'd like to be in good health when it comes.
All right, let's start. Dear Heavenly Father, you have heard the weight of concern, the unknowns, the folks who are navigating really significant health, either challenges, diagnoses, recoveries, or a combination of those things. you've heard what's on all of our hearts, and for the many individuals and scenarios that are impacting us right now. And we pray that you will help us to be really solid humans. Help us to look for the opportunities to find joy, to create joy, to be loving, to be your hands and feet here tangibly in our daily walks. And sometimes it's really hard when there's a lot of conflicting thoughts, feelings, opinions about what's happening and different experiences. We're thankful and grateful that this is a temporary home, and we look forward to when we can come and live with you, and the pain and the struggle and the disagreement and chaos aren't a part of the equation. Until then, give us courage and grace as we live here. Thank you for this group. Thank you for the connections and the community that we have here. Be with those who aren't here with us today, whether they're not feeling great or if they're out in CameraLand or anywhere in between. Let them know that they're loved and missed. Thank you for the smiles and the laughs that we have together. Maybe be with us as we make some music and sing, and also have a circle up and dive into the conversations we've been having over the last few weeks. We love you so much. Amen. Ben's going to come play with me on his bass. We're not going to play like chess. We're going to do deep and wide. Yeah, you didn't know that. David did, though. I need shaker players. Would you like to... Very good, Arnold. Exactly. Just like that. Are you awake? No. Deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. These are your chords. Deep, wide and deep, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Wide and deep, sorry. Deep, wide and deep. Wow, that's a head stretch for me on a good day, let alone playing at the same time. Okay, deep and wide. Deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Glorious. Yep, something happened. Thank you, kids. When are you leading us again? You were just practicing. Do you know when you're leading us again? 2 weeks? They're going to lead music in 2 weeks, y'all. The whole thing. Music and more. All right. Oh, yes, the kids' songs included, Logan. Okay, Arnold, this is for you. Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine. So lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high.
Sunshine on my shoulders makes me happy. Sunshine in my eyes can make me cry. Sunshine on the water looks so lovely. Sunshine almost always makes me high.
I don't know what's better, the song or watching you sing the song. It's pretty great. I don't know if you all say, he like hands up all of it.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, and I will sing of the goodness of God. I love you, Lord, for your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, and I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, and I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and darkest night. You are close like no other. I've loved as a father. I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. And every breath that I am able, and I will live, sing of the goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, and I will sing of the goodness of God. And I will sing of the goodness of God. And I will sing of the goodness of God.
You guys sound great.
In the morning when to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. So here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. And I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. And I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. So here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Here I am to worship, here I am to bow down, here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, you're altogether wonderful to me. God is my shepherd, I won't be wanting, I won't be wanting. He makes me rest in fields of green with quiet streams. Even though I walk through the valley of death and dying, I will not fear, 'cause you are with me, you're always with me. Shepherd's staff comforts me. You are my feast in the presence of enemies. Surely goodness will follow me in the house of God forever. God is my shepherd, I won't be wanting, won't be wanting. He makes me rest in fields of Surely goodness will follow me, will follow me. The house of God forever. The house of God forever. The house of God forever. House of God forever. Dear God, thank you for this time in worship that we've had together. Be with us as we go into a circle up. Be with our conversations. Be with our hearts, and guide us both here and after in our walks. We love you so much. Amen. All right, team. Circle up. Oh, hello, table.
Sanctuary.
2 years ago?
No, three or four, I think.
It was quite a while back. And there was a rental agreement with our Healing Hope partners that, I don't remember the number, but it was a very good price for the space for us compared to what we were paying at our last space in like Iowa. We had a building in Iowa Street.
I'm thinking the
Not the
state.
state, no.
Not the state.
We did not come from Iowa.
When City Sanctuary closed, the outgoing leadership team offered to pay, at our request, rent for, I think, 3 months to help us land here. So they paid forward, and then after that, we negotiated with Healing Hope a price that was like $125. We're going to talk about money for a minute. So about $125 per week. So about $500 a month here, which is a fantastic price. But
And we did that for a year.
for a year plus, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe just a
Just
solid
under a year. Yeah.
They're not able to sustain their budget at all, and especially with us contributing that small amount. The other groups that meet in this building, like the Corinne group, are also looking at navigating a rent increase as well. So what's come out of that is that we've had to talk to them about the space and what our use is. We explored a lot of different opportunities with downsizing in a room or changing time and day. But for us to maintain this space at the time that we use it, and allowing for us to do things like game nights and other functions that we want to try to do here, our $500 a month isn't going to work. So we're in a transition. Last month and this month we are contributing $1,000. The next 2 months I think is $1,500, and then the landing point will be $2,000 a month moving forward.
And that starts in May.
May.
That's still not a bad price for this.
No,
It is not.
for what we have access to, it's a wonderful price. For
Because
us,
we stay set up pretty much all the time, unless there are events. Like we
so
had a
like
gym night
last week there was a gym night we tore down, and I came back in midweek and put it back together. But in general, the space is ours to use whenever we like, which is really significant. And talking money, I feel like, is always this really awkward thing. This is just kind of where we're at, so we need to figure whatever path forward. It's either gonna be a make it, or we're gonna have to change
the jam.
how we do what we do.
Throw a girl outside, dig a hole, get me the food. I'll make it. I'll do a bad fundraiser with some good vegan Hawaiian food.
So
that's not a terrible plan. I think I also want to acknowledge, like, we've, I think easily is a good word. Like, we've easily maintained being here, both financially and, the lift by the whole group to do that. And I do think it's a realistic lift, and it's heavier than $500 a month. So I think that's something, like, we've been very, very blessed.
We haven't really had to talk about.
Yeah, we haven't had the need to have a big group sit down, really. And I think part of it is both we want to share a realistic update of where we're at, transparency-wise. I know anyway, and we want you to be in the know, like on the journey. You're a part of this crew. Anyway, so I think it felt like a good status update time.
Yeah, I don't want to make the implication that ever participating or being a part of our family requires you to pay. That is not.
That is not true.
That's not the deal. And also, I don't want to limit, I think, which is part of why the conversation for this last couple of weeks has been something that's been so heavy on my mind, is what are we doing what are we doing? Not just here Saturday morning, but what are we doing all 7 days, which is kind of where that thought process of the other 6 days came from.
David,
This was where David was.
We're just figuring out
Yeah.
where he's at.
So there's kind of a couple other changes. One from a logistics perspective, we're going to partner a bit more closely with Healing Hope. As far as the conference status is concerned, we're exploring becoming a mission that's supported or sponsored by Healing Hope, which kind of helps us navigate insurance and some back-end stuff, but also will allow us to navigate banking, which has been a challenge for the last year because we don't have a business license. We don't have a nonprofit of our own at this time, although we have explored that. So I don't want to get into the weeds too much, but there will be kind of the capacity to handle funds in a way that we haven't had in the past. We're moving towards that. Yeah.
They plant themselves here, right? And then it's an outreach through funding from their 501c3 mission, who pays the church for their sponsorship. And it's utilized as a place for them to camp out for a little bit while they're here doing their work and learning. So I know there's some Seventh-day Adventist churches that also go to third world countries to help the foreigners there come here. So, you know, a mission church is a very broad term in terms of what the goal and the focus is.
So, yeah, there's that question is a really broad topic, and I'm happy.
Mission church is a very broad topic.
I'm happy to dialogue more kind of as we go along. Okay. I think kind of as an opening statement, I just want to put that out there. This is where we're at. This is our current status and the challenge that we're looking to navigate. I recognize that our family group is not everybody who's just here today. Hello.
I think there's options for alternatives, and I think right now
we're hoping we want to see.
We would like, I think
this plays out.
what I would like to, our hope, I think, is to make this space work financially, but also to make it work as a venue, as a space that we're actually doing things, not just
Sabbath morning.
Yeah. So I think not to do too much like retrospection. One of my like big things that I grieve looking back at our time as City Sanctuary is the fantastic space that we had that we didn't utilize. I know, and I don't really want to get into the how and the why because that's not edifying for this time. But I very much want to hear from you guys, like if you have ideas and things we want to do as we move forward. If we're going to make an investment and grow this partnership, I want to do more than just come together right here, right now. And that doesn't mean we have to do something here every day of the week, but I want to hear ideas.
Can this space be sublet?
I don't know.
What is the geography and the demographic of the area? Like children, adults, older adults.
Yeah,
like
so
Family.
this is a like of the community. This is like
We're right
the
next
Forest
to the
School
elementary
District
school.
and the Forest District.
I've got a great idea then.
So
Basketball tournament.
We've talked about sports events. We've talked about doing like stuff in the parking lot. Thinking back to our National Night Out stuff that we've done previously, where we had just a tiny space to use. We have a huge space. There's things that we can do here as we go kind of forward. We've talked about recording and opening this space up for our partners at Walla Walla College or Walla Walla University and having them come and do some stuff here. We're looking at partnerships with the academies and ways to again use the space. So this is an ongoing conversation. We don't have to solve it right now, but just something to kind of put in your back pocket as we're thinking about
What's next?
Yeah, what's next, and how do we both maintain responsibility for the space, but also maintain some responsibility towards whatever investment we're making to make this really be a worthwhile investment. So, and I want to clarify, like I'm not sure that I would measure success in like number of seats filled on a Saturday morning.
It's what we can best utilize the space for doing outreach without shoving things down their throat and making them feel welcome.
That's about those relationships, right? I think
Pretty much what you
Kevin, the things that you do to me are, sorry friend, I'm not trying to cut you off. You know, like when I think about the relationships that you invest in and those moments, like it's hard to quantify that sometimes, right? I'm sure that's a question.
Especially when you ask people for money.
Yeah. But I think it's important what we do. So I think we'll pivot from there forward. But that is something that I wanted to make sure we're just kind of upfront with. That's where we're at. And that's what we're navigating forward on. Hey, Bill.
Hi, Bill.
I mean, I think it's worth planning staying with. Our rent is going up, and we need more.
Yeah. We will need to navigate that.
Very good.
Where is this studio going to be? Here or at your house?
We will use both spaces, but for different different things. The bulk of it is at my house, but this space is also intended to.
This is for live recording.
For live capture.
That's the other thing, is that people are looking for places where they can do a mic night, where they can do a recording, where they can
And those are
have
things.
a space where they can have an audience without the embedment. You know?
Those are things that we've previously done. We'd like to explore doing that again. We used to do open mic night. There's things. So we'll kind of continue to throw some ideas out there. So I think that's a good segue back to our actual topic of the last couple of weeks. David isn't here, unfortunately. He's helping out set up over there, but
he's actually making his food and getting it in.
When we were brainstorming a month ago, was it, Aaron, or maybe whatever, about topics, we threw out this idea of the other 6 days, and then that kind of got segued into living your faith, which it's been really interesting for me. I don't know if you guys have been here for all the weeks, but hearing like Shane's perspective and Andrew, who's not here today, Kevin, and of course David, have all kind of come at this from different places, which is, I think, one of the beauties of the way we approach our conversations together, is we get to hear from different perspectives. I'm going to hold the mic for a second, though, because I had an entirely different perspective when this topic was floated.
So you're saying we were all wrong?
Yeah, you were wrong.
Just wanted to make sure we're
yeah, I just disagree, okay?
Yeah, you're just wrong, Shane.
Always like to know where I'm at, that's all I'm looking for.
Notice who's the one that's on the stage more, though, with the speaking mic.
Well, so this is fun. I get to do my talk now.
Okay, hold your mic.
I'm not holding the mic.
Keep going, brother.
Reach on.
So if you'll indulge me for a second, I just wanted to say kind of what the burden that I've been feeling about this topic. And that has been, I think for context, my family is a family of pastors. You know, Dan, my uncle, my dad's a pastor, my grandpa's a pastor and evangelist. And I thought at some point that was also the path that I needed to take. Welcome. And I even did a year of schooling for theology, which was a huge, it feels like a huge waste looking back, but it was not, it just wasn't the right fit for me. I've always had a hard time with this idea that I
should be a theologian.
Well, when I think of pastoring, sorry, Violetta, but I oftentimes think of the people that are out there telling people what to think and what to do. And I don't want to do that. I find that utterly repulsive. So thinking about what is my role as a Christian, as a follower of Christ, Shane, were you the one who shared about, or was it one of you guys were talking about Jesus sending the disciples out to go out and do these things. And to me, like, that's the last thing that I want to do. I don't want to go out and like preach at other people. So I just kind of the conversation I was hoping to have was like, how do you guys reconcile? Like, where are you at in that process? Because I have some thoughts about it, but I don't like that's a really uncomfortable space for me. I don't like that.
Meet them where they're at. So, may I tell a very quick story? So I was walking up to the Planet Fitness up my street from my house, and Don was sitting in this cafe every morning. I see him in his swing. About, a month or two went by, just waving at him. One day I walked in. We sat down every so often. He offered to buy me breakfast. We started talking. And it was very generic and organic, and he asked me what my belief was, and, introduced me to one place of service, and eventually, led me here. So it wasn't shoving Bible or telling me what I have to do. It was just meeting me where I was at.
Actually, it was about Don being where he was at. That's what happened.
Maybe. It was both of us being where we were
But
at.
here's the deal, wherever we gather, that's the connection. There could have been 1,000 people that would have bought you breakfast. Right? But the point of reference is that Don was available to recognize you walking by for a month and connecting and engaging and drawing you in. The reference point to this place is that we don't, while we have access to it whenever we want, hypothetically, we don't have any purpose for it,
Right.
hypothetically. So you're not going to sail your boat through here. Without having a key and having a scheduling, a whole bunch of things in line, so that I can come schedule songwriting classes in here or whatever. I'm not going to use this space.
Right.
Because I'm not going to call and ask permission every time to come open the door to come without some kind of protocol. And so it ends up being kind of a strange dynamic where we use this space really well on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And we don't have any purpose outside of that. That's why I asked about subletting, because if there were things I was interested in that I could draw somebody into this space that I could participate in, but they let out in, then I'd have a place to actually build community. You might want a place where you could do a square dance with all the captains that you want to get to know or whatever. And so you hire a square dancer to come teach or whatever. You might...
Or some kind of dance.
Or some kind of dance, whatever. So it's just like, what do we want to connect to this space that we want to participate in?
Right.
Because, face it, 99% of most Adventist churches are dead 99% of the time.
Yeah, 6.5 days
I'm
a
not
week,
gonna,
right?
I haven't been to those churches. I only know my Adventist cohort.
But if to separate like our rent and location for a second, and to take it away from a corporate setting to the individual mandate, which is I think where I'm wrestling with.
Yeah.
Like, what is, Bunny, what's your responsibility to this great commission, if you will, the other days of the week? Like, so yeah, we come together here. This is what we were trained to do as little kids. You come together and have church.
So kind of to reconcile all those,
yeah.
Let's think about, like, he came up talking about sitting around a campfire talking, kind of a break. Part of the Sabbath ideas is setting aside, being away, but there's also, to speak to your purpose, connection is the thing that we all desire and is getting harder and harder to find.
Yes, it is.
It is, you will live longer if you have 3 close friends. But even more important than that, you'll live longer if you connect with people in your daily life. More important than quitting drinking, quitting smoking, more important than losing weight. Those 2 things are greatest indicators of whether you'll live longer. If you want to look at a purpose that will match everybody's needs, we all need connection. We could speak to purposes of ministry. 2 or 3 nights a week, I get together with my friends.
Yeah.
Why? Let's look at what we need. What do we need as human beings? And so, to tying it into the sermons, and talking about, the things that I've always talked about is, love yourself, love others.
forgive yourself, forgive others. You know, ask for what we need. So I think this space could be a wonderful space for some of those things that we need as human beings to take place.
And I'm not saying that I don't see the value in this space, by the way, to be clear, or the value of what we do Saturday morning. That is not. I think it's more just wanting to look at this with, you know, my own bias, my own anxiety, my own trauma history is deeply tied to this perspective of what ministry has looked like as growing up as pastor's kid, right? You know, where we go out and we do these things. That as I now sit here in this space where we're doing this new adventure together, what is the responsibility that I carry? And so one thought I had, well, this John 15 has been the thing that I circle back to. This whole year has been a year of coming back to John 15 for me. Like 12 to 13, this is my command to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. That seems pretty straightforward. But then this greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for that of their friends. To me, my aha moment, I guess, a year and a half ago or so was when because that's always felt like this very like fatal, well, Jesus laid down his life, he died on the cross. So that's like a one-time gift, right? I don't get to do that. But when I step it back from that perspective and look at, I think another version I was reading, it feels like instead it's more of a statement of like, I'm setting my priorities aside to invest in somebody else. It's that point of connection where I'm using the gifts that I have to invest that time in somebody else as opposed to simply plugging it into myself. And when I read that verse like that, then that makes a lot more sense, because that's, whether it's the gift of time or the helping you reseat a toilet that's leaking or whatever that thing is, helping Terry unload his attic, the gift of help and service, that to me feels more tangible for me.
Well,
and it ties into what you're saying.
Need it, you know, and so I think, yeah, okay, great. If you die for someone, but then it's over.
Right. Yeah, it's one and done.
Can you live for people? Can you live for your family, for your friends? Can you live in such a way that your priorities, your skills, your talents are a blessing to those around you? I mean, I don't think for me to become a welder, for instance. I mean, I really appreciate welders, but I tried welding, and I'm pretty bad at it, But there are other skills that I may be able to offer to my friends and family.
Your boat would be on the bottom of the river.
So I think we give of what we have, we don't give of what we don't have.
Right.
So for me to go out and say, well, I'm going to minister to the world as a welder, probably isn't good to say that I'm going to minister to the world by giving people a nice time on a boat. That I can do. I do that all the time, So my whole point is that living our life in such a way that it blesses those around us. I think with that in mind, how can I bless people around me? I'm actually thinking about that. How can I?
Well, and did you? Okay. To that end, to me, I guess the next step in this thought process has been less about what are my physical assets, whether I have a boat or whatever my thing is, and circling that back to the gifts of the Holy Spirit, right? What are the things that my relationship with God, my interaction here, inspire in my life that then I can impact other people with? It ties it in a nice, neat bow, but that's kind of been where my thought process has been. For myself, the gift of service is a big one. That's something that I feel drawn to do, to plug in and help. Whatever that help is, right? What I don't feel gifted in is going out and evangelizing or prophesying or.
And I would say the influence you have when you're doing good is a lot stronger than a guy sitting on a street corner shouting his brains out. Personally.
Yeah. I mean, I just walk on the other side of the street.
I know the people that I've had the most impact It's people that I'm serving on a one-on-one basis, building a relationship. They change my life, I change theirs. You know, so I would say the evangelism part may be different than we think. It might not be.
It might not be.
Oh,
It might not be.
we have a volunteer here.
You know, from my personal experience, what helps me to not to feel burned out and overwhelmed with that, because I can relate to that very well. You know, I really love that it's not my responsibilities to strategize my ministry and my usefulness and purpose. My responsibility be available, and it's God's Spirit. He's arranging circumstances for me, because I don't know whom am I going to talk tomorrow, what's going to happen, but He's in charge of that. I'm just willing, and it for me personally, it relieves a lot of unnecessary pressure. I want to serve, I want to use His gifts. Whoever I am, He knows who I am. So the rest is just up to Him. You know, navigate my life in the way you want, and I'm there for you. So in this case, that's the beauty of having God as our shepherd, our leader, because we are all connected to Him, and then somehow beautiful connections happen like that. But it's very ugly when we try to control and be disciples on our own terms.
May I? There's one other thing I would add to that. You know, we all talk about salvation, Jesus coming back. I would challenge us all to live like Jesus isn't coming back. What are we going to do in this world that makes it a better place? I mean, we're all looking for this, but we gotta live here now, make a difference now. Right. I mean, I have skills that I can use now.
I think David said something like, live like heaven.
The kingdom of God is now.
The kingdom of God is now.
it's
Not like
within
it's a
you.
thing that's like out there
Stop
somewhere.
quoting Jesus.
Go ahead, Desmond.
So you brought up some good points, right? We need to figure out a way to sustain this financially. We have a bunch of ideas on the table. Right now, I feel like us sitting here mulching on it and mulling over it is not going, we're not going to get this settled today, so maybe it's something that we need to take home with us.
Yeah.
Think about some things. Look at the overall picture, see what would work best, and come back and revisit it.
Well,
Because there's a lot of great ideas. It's and please understand respectfully, I'm just learning about the Seventh Adventist way is what are the guidelines we need to follow? What are the rules and regulations we need to follow out of respect for what this place is, which is holy ground and sanctuary, right? So, that being said, you know, it's what can we do? What are our parameters? And how far within those boundaries can we go?
So I think, Aaron.
I think some context. So this right now, circle. We're really not good at circles and shapes, but this concept is something oval ellipsis.
The Hawaiian oval.
The Hawaiian oval.
Okay, there we go.
So this concept is something we do every 4 to 6 weeks or so.
Okay.
Usually it wraps up a speaking series, and it's kind of the time where we can come together and like, what have we been chewing on? What landed? What did we disagree about?
I'm just kind of making it my own conversation today because I came with something that was really pressing on me. The rent and the other responsibilities is a separate. We just had a moment together to talk about that.
Oh no, I understand that. I'm just saying, what can we do to better utilize, and who's willing to put the time in? That's all.
Yeah. So right now, I think we're just thinking about like the theme of the other 6 days, living out your faith.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's okay if we have some hanging. What is that phrase? Hanging chads. That's like way before my time. Did I even use it right?
Wow,
I don't even know if I used that right.
I'm not sure that's the right context for that, but okay.
There you go. And I think it's okay to have an incomplete drawing, right? And I think we've had times where we've had some. Oh yeah. Where we have some left disagreement, and I think that's okay.
Sorry, just pour gravy, add ketchup, and you're good to go.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we're not going to come up with the thing today.
So there's one other thing I wanted to throw out there. Who had Philippians 4?
I used it. Or
you did.
Yeah.
That's right.
Remember, it ticked me off.
Yeah.
But he was wrong.
Yeah, well, you're both wrong. Verse 5, Philippians 4, verse 5. When I've been thinking about, like, how do I live the other 6 days as an extension of what I'm doing today, this has been the other one that's really, like, just dwelled in my mind. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Like, that is such a...
I said, don't forget that last sentence.
And
Yes.
what's the last sentence?
The Lord is near.
The Lord's near, yeah.
But,
Well, but that could
Which
be
we
the,
know means two things.
yeah,
Like he's present and he's coming.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And
right.
that's the most important.
That he's present now and that he's coming.
That's right.
But the coming isn't more important than the now.
I didn't say it was.
Ah, you were leading it.
Somebody's enjoying a microphone sponge.
I know.
It's good.
We got a lot of them.
I like Kevin in general, but I also like Kevin when he talks about why he follows Jesus.
yeah.
And it's the most compelling reason, and that is that it helps him love better. And so I look at the other 6 is that I get a reminder every 7th day when I come here to actually love people. And then I hope on the other 6 that I follow through on that and love people.
Yeah, this is the in-breath and that's the out-breath.
So that's
there's
what
a
I'm
need for
hoping,
both.
is I'm hoping like Kevin that as I follow Jesus, I will learn to love better. And I'm hoping for church, for Sabbath, for that I get an opportunity to love people that love me. I mean, I know you guys love me because you put up with me. You've got to love me. Otherwise, you'd kick me out a long time ago. And so that reminds me to go and love others. And I do it poorly, but like Zig Ziglar says, anything worth doing well is worth doing poorly till you can do it well. So.
But I think the idea that this is love gathered so that love can scatter.
Oh, look at
Oh, there we go.
Like, that's the idea.
I think early on in this adventure, I know Ben and I had many conversations about Sabbath morning functioning as a staff meeting. You know, like when you come together, when you recharge often with each other, where you bounce the ideas around. So then you go through and you're like, okay, I can tackle the week, right? And so I think like this resonates very much with that. Like I remember us sitting months and months ago together and knocking that idea around.
So I have a kind of a hard question.
Go ahead.
Can we afford to stay here?
I don't know.
Because you guys all know my story.
Right.
I have no money to offer. I can bring equipment, I can do other things, people, but I can't fund it. So I'm just curious, like if you guys in reality look and you go, we can't really afford to stay here, then this all becomes a moot point. We're just now biding time for the next place that we're going to gather. And if we can stay here, then I think we move into how do we use this space, or how do we give Kevin a key for Tuesday nights or whatever.
And I think the answer to that is we're going to have to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's an answer. Like if you ask me this month, no. But in August, like I tell my kids, don't ask for me for anything in March. I have no money in March, but in August I'm rich.
Right.
You know, so you know that really depends. I mean, for me it depends on so yeah. I think that's we have a little bit of grace building as we go, and you know hopefully we can make that decision.
And that's why I said that, you know, we need to mulch on this and see what we can and what we can
But this conversation is meant so we all get on the same page.
Oh, I know.
I think
Okay.
at the risk of, maybe I spoiled our conversation or jumped the gun a little bit to talk like logistics, finances for a second in the setting of the other 6 days, because this is a conversation that does segue together. I do want to sit down as a group and have some more nuts and bolts conversations about how we use this space. We as a smaller team have been having these conversations off and on for a year, and I would like to open the floor for broader conversation there. I think we might need to do that over a meal, because that's going to segue into a good chunk of time. But I guess before we wrap up, is there anything else from the last couple of weeks that I know? Terry. Did you have some things from the last couple weeks or something else you wanted to touch on?
Just a comment you had there. I was part of the original team that started City Sanctuary.
Right.
And it was interesting that when we started it, it was started on faith, but it was started with an assistance from the Oregon Conference with a 5-year plan with an assistance. And they initially gave us some seed money, like City Sanctuary did with Phoenix, some seed money to start. But then finances changed in the Oregon Conference, and we basically were left on our own. The Lord continued to bless, and continued to bless, and it grew.
Yeah.
And things happened that we did not expect to happen. We still stepped out on faith, to the point that when circumstances such that it had to close, we had always met our obligations, and we had reserves. So I don't think that the Lord, if He has a plan for this group, is going to leave us in the lurch. I think He will act very similar to what happened with City Sanctuary. To say that, looking at it right now, when the conference pulled out of their thing, it looked pretty bleak. But yet we still felt, okay, we need to move forward with it.
Yeah.
And the Lord blessed that moving forward. And I think what you're talking about of having two different areas, they still merge into one. And I think as we begin to not only do the recharging on Sabbath morning, but working on things for the other days of the week, the Lord will continue to bless, because it's His work we are doing. It's not our work. It's His work. And He will give us those things. If it means that someone suddenly has an influx of income and feels at that time that there's a project going on in this church, whether it's as a group, whether it's an individual in the church doing an outreach, and that person is blessed, I need to help that outreach.
Yeah.
The Lord will impress upon them, and that's going to happen.
So I do believe this is a space for God to do some opening the doors for us. Like I said, the reason for bringing that conversation up at the beginning was really just we haven't had time together to sit down and talk about the nuts and the bolts, and I want to have transparency. I do think, this has been I come back to like that rainy day in the street near Tom's house, where we had this like, okay, we're not ready to quit. What are we going to do next? With no real I didn't know if anybody else was coming with us, right? And here we are a year later, a year and a bit. So I feel like God has opened doors, and there's been a continued outpouring of grace and blessing. I'm not really concerned about how we get from here through the next couple of weeks or the next couple of months. We're going to navigate that. Yep. And how we use the space, we're going to continue to figure that out. But I want to have open conversation about how we can use this opportunity. This is an opportunity. We just need to lean into it.
Yep. And I think I would love to add to that is there's 5 of us that have done a lot of heavy lift behind the scenes, but this is our group.
Yeah.
Like, our vision has never been the 5 of us run this show and do the dance and all the things. Like, this is Project Phoenix is all of you and beyond. Like, there's probably this many more or more who are part of this group who aren't here today necessarily.
Right.
So you're all leaders in that, and that looks very different for each of you. But I think that we wanted to at least sneak the time today to share that information, and I think my gut was saying, like, we need to have some intentional time, and this is encouraging that. Like, we need some intentional time specific to that as a larger group to kind of hash ideas out, see what sticks, throw the ideas out there. So I think percolate on that of what are those things that we can do in a month beyond what we're doing now. Anyway.
So the bottom line is we're looking at finances, and we're looking at how to maximize the space that we have so that we can maximize our value.
Not the first part, I think, is true. I think the second part is not maximize the space, but how within the context of us,
the usage of the space.
But the purpose in having the space.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I would even take one step back from the space. The space is an asset. will help. But what I would hope is that whatever we're doing here maximizes your space, your whatever it is that you have going in your life, whatever I have going in my life on those other days, right? I'm not going to measure success by how many people come Saturday morning or what our donations look like, or that's not the measure of success. The measure of success to me, Shane, is if you're having your 3 good friends and those connections during the week, and Arnold, when you're getting your days out in the sun and you're doing the things that matter to you and where you get to connect with your community, because your community is different from my community, right? But we get to have community together, and that's important to me, that we get to invest in this journey together, however that looks, right? And Aaron's circles are going to be different than Kevin's, you know, all the way around the group, right? So, yes, there's this space, there's a financial obligation here, there is an opportunity to use this as an asset, but this asset's purpose in my mind is to empower each of us in our own circles, not, like, this isn't the destination.
We're building a rocket.
All right. Kevin, my friend.
No.
No. Okay.
Fired up. Fired up. Bad time for me to talk to you.
All right. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for Sabbath. Thank you for community. And that we get to be a big family together for differing ideas and perspectives. And for an opportunity for you to just step in and show us what you got next. Please be with each of us this week as we journey on whatever path you have for us and bring us back together again soon. Pray in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Good job, guys.
Go team. Thank you, Ben.